Hello everybody and welcome to Green Star Trading with me, Tom. All views, opinions and ideas expressed in this video are my own and do not constitute financial or trading advice in any way. Right, we're back and we're looking at Ethereum. This is following on from today's earlier video, which was Bitcoin. And yeah, we're basically looking at the exact same stuff that we're looking for in Bitcoin that I mentioned in that video. We have a different correction to come to terms with or to deal with here. And yeah, so we're just going to try and make sense of it. So here's the count for Ethereum, and we're working on the exact same basis as we are on Bitcoin. Completed 1, completed 3, completed 4. 1, 2, 1, 2. Off we go in the 3. This is our primary. We have the bearish idea, which is, A, B, and this will be C. Also totally valid, could totally be the case. Alright, so we mentioned already in Bitcoin all the things we'd be looking for to see some kind of reversal. So let's just put some simple stuff on the chart. So let's take these previous highs first. So resistance obviously around here, resistance around here, resistance around here, support here, currently where we stopped. So from a pure market structure point of view, support and resistance, that makes sense. Right. We found support. Is it temporary? Is it permanent? No idea yet. What do we want to see to help convince us? Well, if we were to get a bullish engulfing candle, gobbling up all of the yesterday's candle, and closing above it, that would be very bullish. No room for a hammer with such a short move down, unless we were to do a lot of trading today, down and back up. Possible, since it's still early. But it looks like we've got a pretty strong bullish candle already. A close over the previous day's candle would be very positive. The idea that this is a 1, this is a 2. Okay, if we look at the volume here, and we come into the 4 hour for the moment, we can see that during the correction, the low here has the highest amount of volume, and we spiked up into the low. So similar to what we saw in Bitcoin. So this could be the crescendo of the selling. This could be a low. Right. Momentum. This is 4 hour chart. We won't see divergence on the daily, I don't think, because we just haven't had the time. Divergent lows here, low, higher low coming from oversold, and divergent lows here. So low and higher low. In the MACD, not above the, still below the zero bound, and of course lows and lower lows in price. So all of that points towards a low, right? It is a low, there's no doubt about that, but is it temporary or is it the bottom? So this points towards the idea that there's evidence to suggest that we've put in something significant down here, but like I said in the Bitcoin video, we've got it all to prove yet. We need to see an impulse out of here, a 3-wave pullback, and then continuation, taking out all this, taking out these highs, taking out these lows, and continuing to be bullish, supported by momentum. Whoops. Supported by volume would be even better if we were to have a bullish move up supported by volume. If volume continues to decline or remain low and we get a 3-wave structure instead, then it's more likely that this is corrective into a 1, into a 2, and we're about to have that big thrust down in a 3, which then should see another increase in volume to support a bearish continuation of trend after a counter trend move. That would be how we could support the bearish idea. But in these initial moves, where we either have a completed correction or the initial move down of the wave 1, it's very difficult to tell. There's nothing for certain that's telling us that we've turned or we've bottomed. We do have some life signs, like I mentioned. We've got a nice bullish candle on the daily. We've got divergence here on the 4 hour. We've got a peak in the volume around the peak of the selling. All of these things point towards us putting in some kind of low. Support and resistance supports the idea that we could have bottomed here. So let's look at the Fibonacci retracement. So just like we did in Bitcoin, we got a almost 61.8% retracement here for our 1-2 golden ratio zigzag. Right, We seem to get a zigzag here. Long C, mind you. Makes me a little suspicious that this is more likely 5 waves down, but it's possible. And here, I think it's around 38. Let's throw up the STS here. It's around 38.2%. So this correction is smaller, significantly smaller than this one. So they could be separate wave degrees, 1, 2, 1, 2. Right, we spoke about that in the Bitcoin video also. We've had a break of trend, which you can see using our regression channel here. Significant break of trend here. So that also supports that we completed some kind of wave degree up here as well. So the most obvious choices, as I've already said, is A, B, C, or 1, 2, 1, 2. I don't think the Bitcoin count of 1, 2, 3, 4 transfers over here into Ethereum at all. This is one of the things which speaks against it in Bitcoin. Very peculiar to have the same primary count but to have something different going on. What do I mean by that? I will show you. Let's take the length of the 1 projected from the 2. We do not get a longer 3 in this case in Ethereum. We went beyond the 100 in Bitcoin, giving us the option of a 1, 2, 3, 4. The other thing which supported the idea of that alternate count in Bitcoin was that this formed as a flat pattern rather than a zigzag. So we had zigzag, flat, and above the 100%. That is not the case here in Ethereum, so we can't call that count here in Ethereum. So this is literally one of two things. It is 3 waves, 3 waves, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves. It's either that or it is 1, 2, 1, 2, and that's that. I don't see this as a viable 3. We don't have alternation in structure. We don't have acceleration in the 3. It's shorter. It doesn't make it to the 100. It doesn't have any of the things going for it that the option gave us in Bitcoin. So I just don't see that as viable. So this does, however, have more room to correct. It does have more room to correct into that wave too, because like I said, we've made it to 38.2, we've made it around this support and this resistance, but we could still have let's just take the length of time we've got here. Okay, so as you can see, regarding time, we are still within the time restraints or time scale of this initial correction here at a larger wave degree. So there is room to come up and down again. Okay, and still have a similar size correction. That would make me less happy, because this would now start to look more like 1, 2 in the beginning of a 3, right? But we are still smaller in time frame, is my point. We are significantly smaller in terms of overall scale of the correction. This was 34%. Okay, this is 18% so far, much smaller. In terms of retracement, this was 61.8 almost. This is only 38.2. So there you go. We've covered all of that. Now, is there anything else I want to look at? Let's have a look at the moving averages. Let's come back out to the daily. Similar situation to what we've seen in Bitcoin. I'd argue that we've held the 60 better here in Ethereum for the moment. We did it back here, test, move up, break. No significant support from moving averages, not like we had along the 200s back here. So we had a move down, test. Are we going to move up and thrust back down? If we did, I would be quite bearish at that point, because I think that would lean into the idea of this being a 1 and a 2. If we can get some kind of completed correction down here, because you could have a deep zigzag, right? You could go A, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, anything up to not 100%. 78.6 being the normal deepest for a zigzag, then continue 5 waves down and still finish smaller than this correction. So it's still hard to say, but we've held the 60 for the moment. A move up above these candles, back through these moving averages would be very positive. Support from volume would be nice. Let's have a look on the momentum indicators. not quite. Now we didn't get that divergence like we got in Bitcoin. We got a really strong divergence in Bitcoin between these highs. No such thing here in Ether, and actually the MACD just continued to trend higher as the price did as well. So we don't get divergence there. Let's have a look at this high. Not really here either. Not very convincing, this leg up though. If this is a 1 into a 2 into a 3, it will become very convincing, and I would expect to see volume increase and momentum shift very bullishly. But it could be the B. Not quite oversold yet. Taking our foot off the gas slightly on the MACD here. Lighter coloured bar for today so far on the histogram. Could turn darker if we thrush down again. Average is below the zero bound, signal still above it. We had the sell signal here. Now, when you don't get divergence, you often get this kind of bouncing higher before we finally give up. So we broke through, had a signal here, false signal, test, test, failed lower high, final divergence on a small time frame between the average here and the average here, and then a big sell signal, break, and off we go, foot on the gas to the downside. But we had warning that this, you always have warning that the trend is weakening, because look, we're taking our foot off the accelerator the whole time as we're continuing to go higher. Looking for these little things in the MACD can give you a significant heads up before you actually get to the top. So now we're looking for reversal. So as I pointed out, 4 hour divergence positive, still below the zero bound though. We want to get above that. So we've got it all to do. Really have got it all to do in the meantime. Got to get above all of this noise, take out these highs, positive return above the zero bound on the 4 hour here, green, nice big green bars on the histogram forming, thrust back up into overbought conditions on the shorter time frame would be very positive. Retracement after breaking these levels in 3 waves would also be very positive, because that looks corrective to impulsive, and then we can get going higher. So yeah, we put in a low. Will it hold? That's the only question now. We just need to see evidence that it's in. We've got the volume peaking around here, like I pointed out. I feel like I'm just going over everything I've said already. So let's come back into the Elliott wave stuff for a minute, so I don't keep talking about the same stuff here. Switch off the volume. Okay, so yeah, it's like I've said, this is a simpler case. We've got less to think about here. Just got less to think about. The only thing we've got to try and pick apart is this smaller term correction. So let's, for a minute, let's just remind ourselves of the bearish case then. Okay, so A, B, C. Where did we come to? Okay, not a particularly expansive B. Making it to not even making it to the 123.6. See, it's things like this where it's just doing enough to look like something, but not enough to really convince you. And this is the story across the whole crypto space at the moment. If we'd gone bing, 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 straight into the target here between the 23.6 and the 31.8, right, and then violent reversed, I'd be like, oh, that looks very convincing. That's an algo target up here that we've hit, you know, for an expansive B, and now we're going to start coming down. We just fell short of it. So it's just enough to convince us that it could be 3 waves up and therefore 5 down, but it's not perfect. It's often the case, in, you know, when you get into these coin toss situations where you've got a lot of evidence either way. So, alright, okay. Let's look at projections then. So if we're saying a running flat, I think with a less expansive B, we've got an expansive B which is more bullish, right? If we're talking flat patterns, you're either going to have a violent move down 1618 the length of A, okay, which is actually going to be the more misleading, the more aggressive pattern, or you're going to be able to interpret this as slightly more bullish and we'll get a running flat. We've made a new high, so 100% would stop us here. We would not take out these lows. okay, we would be stopping at 2200 for Ether, which is a bloody good discount. Wave 4 up into a wave 5. Excellent buying opportunity if the bearish case turns out to be correct. Excellent buying opportunity. Look at how well this extension lines up now. The golden ratio here, 61.8. Look at all this. Ain't it weird how this is a projection of this length in time from this point here, and yet retrospectively or retroactively this is where everything snagged around the golden ratio. It's just weird how things work out sometimes like that. But then we have these rules for a reason, don't we? Right, let's come down to this smaller time frame now and try and make sense of what we're looking at. So what have I got on my actual count here? There, I haven't done anything here. So I've got the count up into the high, but I haven't interpreted this yet. Mainly because I don't really want to. Looking at it, it's a bit of a pig. Okay, so let's try and put our bullish spectacles on for a moment and interpret this in a way which is bullish. So I guess you'd have to say A, B, C. Not a fan, to be honest. Right, that's huge. That is a gigantic C. Fib extensions for a free. Where's the 2618 down here? We've gone past the 1618, which, you know, has got to make you a little suspicious that we're looking at a 123 rather than A, B, C. We haven't gone to. I mean, we've seen more extreme conditions before, so it's possible, but it's a little funky because I think this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 all day. This is 5. This is 3 all day, so that would have to be 2. This is impulsive all day, so this is 3, this is 4, and this is 5. Okay, so this impulse breaks down absolutely. You know, it's not immaculate, but it's pretty tidy. You know, so show you what I mean. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 all day. 3 all day. 1, 2, 3, triangle 4, that I mentioned in the previous video, 5. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3. A, B, expansive B, C, here into the 4. Fifth wave's a little funky. 1, 2, very small 3, 4 in here, 5, but it's there. Or truncation, double bottom, bum bum. Which we know, if we look at our double bottoms, we know that we get a slightly higher, or we should, I mean I can't see it at the minute, let me just get these doodles out of the way, we'll come and have a look. We should have a slightly higher or slightly lower second low based on whether it's a fifth that's truncated or not. So it could be, so I'll show you what I mean. So here's, what have we got? Let's have a look. Be super precise. You shitting me. It's the exact same number. Oh well, alright, well in that case it doesn't really matter either way, does it? Because it could be either. So in that case, since we've come to the exact same point for our double bottom, I really am not going to worry about that too much. If it was an actual truncation with a significant higher low, I'd be worried about it, but to the exact same point, I can live with that. So we can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That I prefer it because it gives us clearer structure, right? We don't have to try and force the 5 into the count by screwing it into here somewhere. By going 1, 2, funky 3, 4, 5. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Truncated fifth. Not really. It's not shorter. It doesn't come to. It's to the exact same point. You'd have to come down to the second chart, I think, to find a difference. So in practical sense, it is a 5. So From the positive point of view, that's ABC complete, right? Really teeny tiny super fast 5 in an A. WXY I think here for a one zigzag, two zigzag, three zigzag, four zigzag, three zigzags joined together, or just ABC. X wave ABC. I say WXY here in the B. 1, 2, big ass 2, 3, 4. No alternation here in the 2 and the 4. That's a little. Well, they're flat patterns, but one's expansive, one's not. That's not true alternation. That's a little suspicious. Okay, and then 5 in here with a triangle and a 4 guaranteed. A, B, C, expansive B here for an expanding flat into the 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into the 5. Tiny truncation if it exists at all. So from here, we've either gone for the balls A, B, C complete 1, 2, or for the bears we've gone 1. Right, and then now we're going to get big ass 2, huge 3, and we're going to have the bearish count and the bearish scenario is right, and we'll see all the things I spoke about. We'll see declining volume during the correction, momentum temporarily shifting bullishly but not convincingly, and then we'll get momentum turning negative, corrective subwave structure here rather than impulsive. This will be 3 rather than 5 is what I mean, and then momentum will shift negatively, volume will increase to support the third wave down. All of those things will happen if it's bearish. Bullish, there's only one other way of looking at this bullishly, I think, which is this whole thing is 5 waves down, and we've gone A, and now we're going to go bump 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 B, and then we're going to go bump 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 C. Okay, that's the only other bullish interpretation I can see, and it's going to fit less well. Whoops! It's going to fit less well with the previous correction because it's getting too big again. Not too big. It could still be smaller. It could still be 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay. It's just we would expect it wherever it finishes to be smaller than the intermediate counterpart here. So if this does become 535, same as this 535, different wave degrees, remember, so it doesn't matter, we would still expect this to be smaller than this. At the moment, we've got a funky ABC. I don't particularly like it. As I said, this ABC is a little odd. I don't particularly like it. But we'll see how the price closes then. If we get bullish reversal of conditions and we take out these highs here and we get a big bullish candle on the daily and we start to impulse off of here, we can be positive. In the meantime, however, you got to be a little suspicious. I think you got to be a little suspicious. I mean, this is a 3-wave swing, isn't it? A, B, 2, 3, 4, C to come. Right, so this could be ABC here. I think that's 90% retracement for a flat. Let's just have a quick look. No, it's not actually. Alright, so this has to be 5. A, B, C. So far, off of the low, we've got 2 options. We've gone A, B, C, short zigzag, 5th wave to come in here somewhere. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Boom, take out these lows and off we go, continuing the trend down. That's one option, so it's all going to be resolved relatively quickly. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, no overlap, 5, 1. If we get that 5-wave impulse off of the low, that's reassuring. Okay, that's going to be reassuring because that would get us on our way to putting in some seriously bullish signals. But it could be the 2. Remember we spoke about the idea that we're putting a 1 down here for the bears. So it's going to be a while yet, guys. That's the one thing I'm going to say. I know it's frustrating, but until we know for certain, it's going to be a little while yet. Because the move off of the low here could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. A, 5 waves, looking impulsive. 3 waves back, looking impulsive for 2. C, A, B, C into a 2, making us think 1, 2, 3. But the 3 would be shorter than expected, it would be weaker than expected, it would not be supported by the volume we would expect, it would not be supported by the momentum, and it would complete roughly around 100% of the A. If it's a 3, it would just continue up. Okay, then it's 3, then it's 4, and we're through the previous highs, and we're all partying, it's ball time again, and everyone's happy. But in the meantime, we've got to be suspicious that we've either had a completed correction, in which case if this is a 2 we will rip out of here, because now we're going into a 3. So give it a couple of days, few days, and we will rip if this is a completed 2. If it's not a 2, we will meander our way up into a 2 here, and this was a 1. We'll be up here slower, I would expect, and we won't have momentum and volume supporting this in the same way as if this was impulsive. Okay, if this was impulsive, I'd expect to see a lot more strength behind it once it gets going. Okay, I think that's everything, guys. So let's just look for potential retracement. I'll throw a retracement box up here. Now this is making a bloody bold assumption that we've actually bottomed. I said it's a low, and it is. You can see that it is. But is it a low that's going to last a few hours? Is it going to be defunct by the time you're watching this video? Okay, but target box between the 38 to okay, let's give it the benefit of the doubt and say 50 to 78.6. If it's a 2, okay, 1, 2, could be A, B. Target box is going to be the same either way, so we'll just leave it there. Alright, how we're behaving once we arrive in this price zone here is going to tell us a lot. So once we get up into here, the questions are, did we come up in an impulse? That's number 1. Was it 3 waves to here? That's the second thing we've got to ask. Is this move here supported by volume? Is it supported by momentum? Okay. Is there subwave structure to support it? So all these things need to come into play. Then we will get a counter trend move. Now the move down will either be impulsive, and it will be supported by volume, supported by momentum, or it won't be, because it's corrective and it's 3 waves into a 2, 1, 2. So we won't really know much for certain until we've come up and back, but there will be clues. This will either appear impulsive or corrective. This will either appear impulsive or corrective, and both moves will be either supported or not supported by our momentum indicators and volume, depending on whether it's corrective 1, 2 or bullish 1, 2. That's it. So that's what we're going to have to look for in the next week, next few days, next couple of weeks. What do we do from here? The simple thing obviously would be, if all of this is bollocks by the time you watch it, this was a low but it's only temporary and we just do this again, in which case you just wasted 20-30 minutes of your time watching this. Either way, guys, I'm going to have to leave it there because my voice is going after that long video on Bitcoin that I put out today as well. So I'm going to have to save that if I want to potentially get another altcoin video out over the weekend. No promises. If I find time, I will. Alright guys, thank you for joining me on this technical analysis of Ethereum. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you're new to the channel, you like what you're seeing, please subscribe, smash the like, hit the little bell notification icon to remain informed of future video releases. Leave us a comment in the comment section below if you want. Thank you as always to my patrons. Your support is greatly appreciated. If you're interested in becoming a patron, perhaps consider leaving it till the start of next month now, as we're now into the final third of the month and I don't want you to miss out on the value that you should get for an entire month's membership. But it's totally up to you. If you want to throw money at me, I'm not going to object. So yeah, alright guys, and if you're not following me on Twitter yet, there's a link to my Twitter feed in the description with the Patreon link as well. Take care guys, and I will be back with you maybe over the weekend, if not next week. All the best, bye bye.